Welcome back here to the Pokemon Regional Championships here in Hartford, Connecticut. I am your host, Jeffrey Ciaran, and to my right,
Is John Calchex's Kettler.
we're here. We have an exciting match here coming up here for you here soon. Here, round 8. We have two well-decorated players here, both from the same
That's
the
right.
great region of Canada. And yeah, let's talk about this matchup a little bit here.
Yeah, we've got a couple interesting decks that we haven't seen featured too much. We've got Zach playing Hitmonchan, and we have Ciaran playing Sableye Garbodor. We have not seen that much Sableye at all so far, other than Nathan in the second round of the tournament. And I don't think we've seen any Hitmonchan at all, have we?
No Hitmonchan yet today. There has been like a couple splashes of it throughout the top tables. Zach, consistently always playing Hitmonchan in the expanded format. It's his favorite deck to play outside of Blacephalon Standard. And he's going up against here Sableye, who got a couple tricks here between Black Market and such to add in favor for it there. That kind of run-of-the-mill deck right as well. So I'm curious how it's going to pan out. On paper, it looks like Ciaran has a little bit of advantage there, kind of be able to disrupt energy. But at the same time, Zach's attachments are all one attachments. So if he's able to take the knockouts here with those attachments, we could see a good little trade-off.
Yeah, I agree completely. Although, now, did we get a note that their headsets are on still?
Yeah, we do
Okay.
see the headsets on.
Okay, fantastic. Now, one thing I'm doing, in addition to looking at the on-paper of it, I'm looking at my phone right now and comparing this list that Ciaran has to Ryan Pena's top 8 list from Daytona, and it looks like they're almost identical. It's the same Pokemon number, the same trainer number, same energy number. I'm honestly looking to see if there is any difference whatsoever in the list, but Sableye Garbodor anyways is a pretty mature deck concept at this point. It's been around for years.
Yep.
It's a successful deck, even if it has a little bit of trouble with time limits at times, no pun intended. And it seems like it has the same problem in most tournaments, with it, of course, a notable exception here or there. It has won a regional championship before, but it struggles time and time again with the clock and being able to handle that over a long period of time.
Absolutely, there. I definitely played against a fair amount of Sableye Guard when I played an expanded format there, and you always get a tribute to it there, whether it's your energy acceleration or your single attachments are all KOs here. But looks like we're going down to the action here. Zach starting with Wobbuffet and Ciaran starting with Trubbish, and it looks like Zach is going to go first.
That's right. Get that bop action going on real quick with little hits with Hitmonchan, hitting and running, being able to hopefully, from his point of view, get a knockout every turn that he can, and try to beat the punch when it comes to all of the energy denial on Ciaran's side of the board.
We do see here that it starts with Wob, benches another Wob, and an Oricorio, keeping it purple on Zach's side of the field. Playing an end, both players will shuffle their hands to their deck and draw equal to their prizes. Both players here are 6-1 as well, so both should be able to, regardless of this outcome, depending on where they get paid down to next round or paired to next round, should be able to ID in and get that 19 point to be able to make day 2. But every player wants to make that extra leap, get closer to the top 8, get those points so that to maximize their chances to get to that top 8 here.
Oh, for sure. And that's the name of the game, isn't necessarily – we've mentioned this time and time again at this point, but ultimately players' goals might differ. But I would assume for most players here, their goal is to win the tournament.
Absolutely.
Or at least put themselves in a position to the tournament if they don't feel like they can. So in that pursuit, they need to get as many match points as possible. So these two players, they theoretically could have been able to do 2 intentional draws, one for this round and then one for the next round, assuming they didn't get down paired. Well, you need as many points as you can to put yourself in a better position for day 2.
So we do see here Transmill for the Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball getting rid of an Enhanced Hammer and the Dark Energy to grab that Dark Explorer Sableye with that Junk Hunt attack, being able to look through your discard pile and grab 2 item cards and bring them back to your hand.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, the all-important turn 1 deck search, making sure that your many one-of copies, if you're a Sableye player, are in the deck, and figuring out, trying to reverse engineer what all is in the prize cards without having to play something like a Gladion. And that in itself is a little confusing to some players. Why would you bother figuring out what your prize cards are when you run Gladion? Well, you have important decisions you need to make before dedicating yourself to running and using a supporter card for the turn. So if you have a good feel for what crucial one-ofs are in the prizes, then that maps out the rest of your game to really great effect.
Absolutely there. So he plays the Tapu Lele Winter Tag ability to get the full art. Professor Juniper, discard his hand, draw 7 cards here. Let's see what he has here. Is he a Verse Seeker Ultra Ball? And right away playing the Ultra Ball here. Looks like he's going to, oh, nope, deciding not to just yet.
Yeah, and you know, it was a pretty interesting and clever play by Zach to have that Oricorio put on the bench on the first turn. I think what he may have been angling for is some sort of way to get a potential turn 2 win on that Trubbish if he had just the right energy and he had a stadium in play, maybe exploit that 60 HP on the Trubbish. So Garbage Collection Trubbish is played pretty often in Garbodor Sableye decks and Garbodor Zoroark decks, but its main weaknesses, as opposed to other Trubbish anyways, is it doesn't have that 70 HP, and because of that, it's a lot easier to exploit with little things like Oricorio.
Absolutely there. Ultra Ball grabbing another Sableye to come down to the discard pile here. Ciaran looking for a float stun to be able to start chaining off those junk hunts, but opts to pass instead. Zach going into his turn does see a Shrine of Punishment. There is the Prism. And we do see a Muscle Band as well. So Floatstone here can take the KO on this Trubbish right on cue as what you were saying there.
Yup, it's a beefy boy right now, dealing a clean 100 on that Trubbish, and it might even be able to put in some work later on against one of the Sableyes. I don't know if it'll be particularly relevant here, since 50 is not enough to be able to score a knockout, but it could at least set up a 2-shot knockout later on.
Yep, exactly right there. So he does, the Juniper here does not hit the Flowstone, however, does hit Adventure Bag. Adventure Bag searching your deck for 2 tool cards and place them in the hand. And the tool cards of choice here for Zach, double Flowstone.
That's right. Being able to protect himself from any situation that Ciaran might put him in terms of being able to lock up one of those Wobbuffets. And with that beefy 2 energy retreat cost on Wobbuffet, it's a rough position to be in.
So Flowstone to Wob, Oricorio coming to the active spot, taking out the knockout there with what I believe is a Revelation Dance.
Correct. Yep, a good clean 100 damage with that Oricorio. And the trade-off with that is that now Sableye is up in the active position. It's ready to hunt some junk. It's ready to get into the garbage, not necessarily because getting in the garbage is just one card. Got to get in that junk. Got to go ahead and find those items and get this lock rolling.
Absolutely there. Oricorio right now going to do Supernatural Dance just to put the 10 damage on the Lele's in a start. Oh, sorry, no, that was Supernatural. That's the Shrine damage in between.
And we've already got that energy denial up and running on Ciaran's side of the board. Good clean heads for Ciaran on that Crushing Hammer, and there's plenty more where that came from. Going down the list, I mean, we got 2 Crushing Hammer, 2 Enhanced Hammer, and a Faba, to say nothing of constantly being able to get all of that back via Junk Hunt. It's going to be rough.
Junk Hunt bringing back a Verse Seeker, and I did not see the other card there, but does bring back the Verse Seeker and Enhanced Hammer. Okay, get ready to take away any other special energy that Zach's going to present to his Pokemon. Nest Ball coming down here. Probably going to maybe I-Dive on the Diancie or another Hitmonchan. Diancie, what going to do right now is some extra damage modifier for this Hitmonchan. I believe 30, 50 with a strong energy plus 20 with Diancie can KO a Sableye.
Yeah, and if you were racing against the lock of Sableye, being able to score as many knockouts as you can, as quickly as you can, is just so huge.
So right now, Zach is playing it fast right now. He is going to Verse Seeker here. Was probably going to be for that Sycamore, or actually going to be the end, and conserving his resources, but not only that, negating the Junk Hunt.
Yeah, and I certainly don't blame him, because in these best 2 out of 3 50-minute matches, Sableye decks, specifically Sableye Garbodor, are aiming to be able to win a really long, grindy game 1. And so if you are able to score that win in any reasonable amount of time, then you are in a golden position. So if Zach's able to race to the finish line, get 6 prizes, and say maybe about like 20, 25 minutes, he's got the match locked up.
Absolutely there. Black Market did come to the hand for Ciaran, and right on cue, just that exact combo we were just stating here. Hitmonchan going to be able to take the KO, hit and run back to the bench, bring a Wobbuffet to the active, and because of Diancie, Hitmonchan takes the KO.
Absolutely. Getting that solid amount of damage, and he's within range of knocking out the next one, assuming that Ciaran doesn't have everything that he needs to be able to not only deprive the energy on the Hitmonchan, but to be able to get an ability log going. And that's where having Garbotoxin would have been great for Ciaran to deprive Zach of that extra damage on the Yancy.
Yeah, right now is Zach actually, in a really good spot right now. The only stable left on board, and unless, like you said, that Garbodor comes out,
Oh, and
Faba on
there's
the
that
strong
one.
energy.
Yep, putting it in the lost zone, not in the discard pile, so no chance to recover that. He can't special charge it. It's gone, buddy.
And then is that a counter catcher
Yep.
on the Diancie here? So a lot of different pieces here, but Zach does have the computer search here. So while Diancie might be stuck right now, Floatstone can bring it right back to the bench here in a second.
No, for sure. And now, if you were on Zach's side, so he has that computer search, so it's not like he's deprived of options. And he has the Guzma to be able to.
He has a lot of things there.
He
Guzma,
has
Juniper, computer search.
Yep. He has a lot
World
of
of
things to be
riches.
able to get that Diancie out of the active position, but you don't want to set yourself up for failure. And by that, I mean you don't want to get the Diancie out of the active position only for it to go back.
Exactly there. Junk Hunt does grab a counter catcher and a verse seeker. Right off the bat there, Zach going straight for the Flowstone and a Hitmonchan.
Nothing childish going on here, getting exactly what he needs to be able to get the Diancie out of the active position without sacrificing many resources to do so. I'm
Computer
just
search
curious
as well.
to see.
Go ahead.
No, I'm fine. I'm just wondering what he's going to get with this. And that's
Strong
a lot
energy.
of resources. Yeah, strong energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
There's no energy in his hand. Got to get the KO
Watts.
here on a Sableye. Karina solidified, getting an item there, so he's going to be able to hit these pieces.
Yep, he's got all the pieces, and by knocking out that Sableye, he's going to make it harder for Ciaran to continue the loop. But Kieran's got that float stone in his hand. I'm presuming that between all those cards that he does have, he has a way to either get another Sableye or to recover the one he just lost and keep things going.
This is actually going really well for Zach right now. That damage is ticking on that Lele that Kieran's forced to bench down with the Shrine. So even if Ciaran can mill away this energy, if Zach could just take one knockout, eventually that Lele is going to get taken out.
Yeah, so
He's racing against his own clock, essentially.
yeah, pretty much. And between the stadium counts, between the one Black Market Prism Star and the one Parallel City, Ciaran doesn't have a whole lot of stadiums here to be able to deal with the Shrine of Punishment. Where, I mean, granted, like he does have a Field Blower, but it's not exactly enough to be able to.
There it is, right on cue.
Easily.
All the pieces right there. Black Market coming down here. Going to go ahead and counter catching up the Wob with no float. And he's going to Verse Seeker for the Frozen Juniper. Going to need to find an energy here, as well as probably an additional Sableye to keep this chain alive.
Yep, lather, rinse, repeat. He needs to have the energy, needs to be able to continue. Oh, yep, and he's got that Rainbow sitting in his hand.
And the Crushing Hammer here. So this Crushing Hammer is going to be huge. If it's heads, that strong energy will go down. And it's tails. So Hitmonchan is going to be able to survive one more hit and run.
Yep, although I'm curious to see if this one damage counter on the Sableye is going to become relevant later on. It's tough to say because everything on the board that Zach has, it really wouldn't be quite in range. I mean, maybe like some sort of weird scenario with Hitmonchan not having a strong energy, but it's tough to say.
We're gonna Zach's definitely need to find a stadium here to bump that Black Market. That way, when he does take this knockout on Sableye, it is for the true prize here and not null. But we are gonna see Junk Hunt here, and I think you're right here with the Rainbow here. Or Corio can place damage counters to go around that Black Market play. Going on to Zach's turn. The Ciaran is still deciding his Junk Hunt targets. Let's see here. Still deciding what cards he's going to grab here. Looking at Field Blower.
And I like the move right there, being able to get more and more targets for counter catcher later, making it even harder for Zach to seize on this lead that he has right now.
All Zach needs to do, though, is take one more KO and get a Shrine back out, and Shrine will do the rest of the work for him.
Yeah, although at the same time, Ciaran, and we were talking about this, Ciaran is limited in his options to be able to cope with Shrine of Punishment, but he really, you know what, I got to be honest, and it is a little flip-floppy on my part, but going down the list, it seems like he does have enough to, in an infinite situation like what Junk Hunt creates, to be able to wear out all the Shrine of Punishments. And so eventually Zach will have none left, whereas Ciaran will have something. So he should always have an answer unless Zach hits an N at the right point against Ciaran.
All right, here we do see that Guzma on the Lele here, and I see the player shuffling. I'm not sure what card was played. Oh, Marshadow. Okay, I do see the Marshadow down there now. Different art throws me off there, the promo art. Marshadow let loose. Both players going to draw 4 here. Zach wanting to find a shrine here. He's going to hit for 30, 60, 80, 100 with the Diancie. Going to put Lele at 150. 2 shrine bumps, and that'll be a knockout there. So let's see if he hits this shrine, a punishment.
And
he does not hit the shrine, but he has another strong energy, which will do the knockout.
That's right. And so now Zach has 1 prize left, or should have 1 prize left anyways. And on the other hand, Ciaran might be able to do what Sableye always does, which is slowly but surely whittle away a deck, regardless of the prize count, as long as it isn't 6 that's drawn, just to be able to log. But we have Hitmonchan staying in the active position.
So this is going to be interesting here. So Articuno's going to come here and do the Cold Crush GX, get rid of all energy from both active Pokemon. However, if Zach can find the energy and a Guzma, he could Oricorio for game.
He would win the game,
He would Oricorio for game. So he still has a lot of energy left here. It looks like the Prism's going to go down here. You're going to go ahead and hit and run. Won't be for much. 30, 60, 80. Hit for 60 with resistance. And run back to the bench.
But very competitive nonetheless. And it's exactly what Zach would want because he's within a hit of being able to win the game. A hit and a Guzma.
Yep.
Not in that order. Reverse order. A Guzma and a hit.
Guzma and a hit. See Strong Energy. See Enhanced Hammer. A Float Stone. Just whenever the next Pokemon does get counter catchered up here. Choice Band. So no draw, though. That's going to be the big hindrance here. There's no draw support here. Curious way, so he's opting to get double Strong Energy with this special charge here. So it sounds like the strategy is to go all in on the Hitmonchan.
I believe that's absolutely correct because it's he's not that far off from being able to win this game. There's no question about it. I think there was a little bit of banter before this match that, oh, you know what, it looks so bad for Hitmonchan. It looks so tough. But actually, there's a lot of options in terms of being able to keep up aggression. And as long as you don't get locked out of the game, as long as you have your
Does Articuno not resist fighting? Articuno GX. But going on to Ciaran's turn, Battle Compressor here, going to go to his deck there, be able to discard up to 3 cards into his discard pile, and it looks like Articuno GX does not resist fighting there. Typically you see with the bird-type Pokemon, flying types, they have that resistance of fighting there, at least you see that in the VGC side there. So this Articuno is a special one.
Yeah, and with this Battle Compressor, we see a pretty exciting chain of events going on because we've got that end that could be coming up really soon, bringing Zach down to virtually nothing and allowing Ciaran to set up the perfect board state for his permanent lock to kick in.
Yeah, you see he's compressing into items that he's going to try to pull in here between the counter catcher and the red card here. Float Stone. Does he have the energy? Rainbow Energy. Retreat here, and let's see, probably go Verse Seeker and counter catcher.
Yep, and that's exactly what he junk hunts for. But you know what? I think that's it. If I'm not mistaken, I mean,
that should be. So why? Yeah, is that not game? If
unless I'm missing something here.
30 is. Oh, he's only hitting for 30. He's hitting for 50. That's knockout on the Sableye. Are we missing something for game?
Well, you know what? I don't think we're missing something here, but Zach is looking at the cards in Ciaran's list and trying to get a feel for what all is there and what all to expect in the next game. Although I am a little curious why we just don't have a bop to win.
Okay, yeah, I guess he's one in the declared. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think he was trying to figure everything out, trying to get a feel for Ciaran's discard pile, and then at that point just go ahead and score the win with the bop.
Yeah, I mean, Zach right there, able to capitalize on those quick attack mitts, getting the KOs right off the bat. I think the fact that he was able to get a KO with Oricorio right off the back with that Trebus, like you called it, was really a big, like the start of it all, because it set up for the Hitmonchan to start taking out KOs later. He's able to attach energy to different places, and Ciaran wasn't really able to chain all those energy denial cards.
Yeah, it resulted in a snowball effect whereby not having the ability lock in play at all for the whole game, that Diancie gave Hitmonchan much more room to exploit everything, deal more damage throughout the whole game. And all in all, like it was a really good play. It was a little risky, but I think it was well worth the risk to do that. And I'm not exactly sure if it was how influenced it was by the ability to get a cheap win
Yep.
versus just to get better
Yep.
board state. But he got the better board state, and because of that, he won the game anyways.
Absolutely there. And I think another big thing too is Ciaran was only able to get out one Trebuch that whole game, and that was the one he started with.
Yeah.
He does play 3, so wasn't able to get out any other Garbodors in his deck. So I'm curious how it's going to pan out here coming to this game 2. Sure, Ciaran's wanting to start with that Sableye, get some Trebuch on the bench to really lock out that Diancie. Diancie, in my opinion, was the MVP of that matchup.
Yeah, I'd certainly agree. Although, I mean, like you said earlier, you can't really say Oricorio was a slouch either. It was good. I felt like those one-copy inclusions both made a really big difference. And all in all, we had a fantastic situation for Zach where he normally would be struggling and having a lot of problems to deal with a fully set-up Sableye Garb, but back to the action.
Back to the action. Here we go. Ciaran starting with the Shaymin EX. That's why I kind of saw my eyes flare there for a second there because that just screams
Did you just get
happiness
solar
for Zach. I got solar flared just right in the face there. Oh, big Juniper here, dropping all the items down, which isn't a bad thing. You have Junk Hunt. It's not the worst thing in the world there, but
it's not the best.
Not the best either.
Because you have to spend a little bit of time actually digging some things back. And, that's eventually going to happen. But it's a little grimy. I mean, it puts you back just a little bit. But with the pace at which the games are moving and what Ciaran needs to be able to secure a tie, I'm going to be realistic here. I don't even see him possibly winning this series. But at least securing a tie, he would need more resources to be able to at least lock that up.
This is going to be interesting enough here. He has Computer Search in hand. He also has the Marshadow Let Loose ability to his arsenal as well. So I'm curious how that's going to pan out for him here. It looks like he's eyeing down.
And then we have Gumi, of course,
Yep.
bringing up the retreat cost of the opponent's active Pokemon. Or actually, you know what? I'm thinking. I'm
Attack cost.
Yeah, I'm thinking attack cost, bringing
Attack
it up
cost.
by 1. Yeah,
Which is huge, actually. It's huge. It's
Yeah.
going to force more energy on the Sableye, which means if Zach were to take that knockout on the Sableye, that's double the energy going to the bin.
Yeah, so, I mean, Gumi's putting in work one way or the other.
So he is playing a Computer Search. I did not see what he discarded here. Shrine of Punishment and a Cynthia.
Yep, and just like you said earlier, getting that shrine damage on, those little pings. And because Ciaran doesn't run anything other than just Rainbow and Darks, it's going to take a lot of work to be able to Sky Return up.
And it's funny, too, because Gumi's going to stop that, too. Gumi's going to make him say, if you want to get this off the board here, you're going to need 3 energy, my friend.
Dang, Gumi, what have you been lifting?
Gumi's eating good. Gumi's eating good and dreaming to become that majestic Gudra.
Gumi, have you been deadlifting or squatting?
All right, here. Cynthia for 6 here. Enhanced Hammer Treasure, Mr. Mime, Field Blower. Teammates and counter energy?
Yeah, so, I mean, of course the counter energy isn't going to be too relevant, but Zach's setup doesn't require a lot of work, and granted, there are some cards he would prefer over just a basic fighting, but it's getting the job done. And at this point, I mean, from Zach's point of view, as long as he just doesn't deck out, he feels fine.
So it's going to be a big turn here for Ciaran here. He does Ultra Ball away. Team Flare Grunt and Team Skull Grunt, 2 rivals of the Pokemon series, grabbing that Trubbish. One of them put into the bench right now. If Zach can figure out a way to take the KO on that there, he'll be in a similar spot as he was game 1. I believe we see Dowsing Machine, Juniper, and Guzma.
Now he has the Guzma. He had the Guzma in his hand, so he could have potentially gotten that Shaman out that way, but
Dowsing for the special charge, bringing back into Rainbow he discarded earlier, and the one he just discarded off of the Dowsing Machine.
Exactly, and so Ciaran's like, you know what? Let's go ahead and avoid any fancy stuff. I mean, I don't want to put my Sableye at risk against that Hitmonchan. Let's go and get the full suite set up, maybe get some energy denial, and win the way my deck's supposed to.
Absolutely. Juniper, going to draw 7 cards. We do see the Dark Energy and a Flowstone, so he is going to be able to Junk Hunt here right away. But let's see if he can get another Sableye down as well. Is he just pass? Oh, okay, he's asking for a hand. He's asking for a hand count. Okay. Dark Energy coming down to the Sableye.
And that Trick Shovel really thinking hard about whether or not he wants to discard the Colress. And I could see it going either way, which is why this is so tough. Because
he discards it. Okay. I kind of like your thought there, though, that he could have kept it there. I mean, right now he's capping out at 3 draw.
Yeah, and there wasn't that much impressive stuff that Zach played, but at the end of the day, Ciaran's whole strategy is to deck Zach out, and so in order to do that, he has to start discarding cards. And even though Zach doesn't have a great hand, it's not like he has a dead hand.
Yep, fully agree there. It looks like Ciaran just passed after attaching a Dark Energy to Sableye, keeping the Shaman in the active spot. Mysterious Treasure on Zach's side, going to find himself a Psychic or a Dragon-type Pokemon. But I think he already grabbed the choice he has. I guess he could opt to get Oricorio, Wob, or Marshadow as well. But it could have also just been just a kill card to see what's in his deck.
And hey, that's actually a cute little thing about Zach's list when you break it down, is that normally if you have a Psychic Pokemon as your primary you're searching for, there typically isn't a Dragon type to search, but you can search out that Goomy.
You can search out the Goomy. Juniper going to discard Guzma, Hammer, Teammates, and Wob.
Let's see what this fresh new hand yields. And
some Prism Energy here. Is that the Hitmonlee, I believe? Yep, that's the Hitmonlee tech right there.
That's correct. And because Hitmonchan used Hit and Run last turn, that Hitmonlee is going to be dealing much more damage to the bench. And actually, you know what? Unfortunately, because Goomy had its counter energy attached this turn, we won't see any shenanigans with the Hitmonlee, but give it a little bit more time, and we might see that next turn.
Could see it next turn here. Oricorio coming down as well. Could be with 1 retreat cost. Going to be able to retreat. We can hit a run again just for 10 damage, but it's going to poke away here slowly at the Shaman EX. It's also getting ticked away by the Shrine.
Yeah, and you know what? I really am curious to see if he's going to try for that Hitmonlee play at the risk of overextending. So he does exactly what you said that he was going to do. He gets that little ping, takes advantage of the Shrine of Punishment, and is now threatening Hitmonlee dealing 90 to the bench. But do you think it would be overextending if he switched out for that Hitmonlee?
I do not. I think that especially it depends here if he you're talking about attacking the Trebuchet on bench, which is about to be Garbodor now.
Yeah, that's going to be 10 short, but it could be hit at a later point. Maybe through Oricorio, perhaps?
Absolutely. They had to set up Oricorio plays as well, because even if you do that special combo to hit the Garbodor on bench, Oricorio can spread a 1 damage counter on it as well. So I definitely think at the right time, it can be set up to do well.
Yeah, and at that point, we're talking about all sorts of fancy little plays that Zach can make, and Ciaran's like, you know what, guys? Pay attention to my side of the board, because I just got a Garbotoxin out, and I'm feeling okay. So the only thing I'm not necessarily feeling okay about, if I'm Ciaran, is that clock dwindling down, because I mean, maybe I in particular have harped on about just time and its relevance in this best 2 out of 3 format, but for Ciaran and Sableye in particular, it's way bigger of a deal because you need at least about half an hour to secure a win most of the time.
See here, he does play Transmute after that end. He also grabbed a red card. I want to note something from Ciaran last turn. Last turn, Ciaran did have the Float Stone to move the Shaman to the bench and could have been able to junk hunt, but held it because he knew he had the Ultra Ball to get the Garbodor the following turn and can Garbotoxin then. So just these little small, minute things that players do to make sure to solidify their strategy. Red card, however, is going to hit Zach, going to make him shuffle his hand to his deck and draw 4 cards.
Yeah, and we have a nearly complete setup on Ciaran's side of the board. It's just getting that Sableye into play. That's all he has to do. He just needs to get Sableye in the active position, maybe hit like 1 or 2 items he hasn't cycled through yet, but he's about there.
And he just passes over, and we do see not a lot going on. It looks like a Hitmonchan, a Wob, Choice Band, and Prism Energy. I didn't see what the 5th card was, but unless it's a Juniper, I can't tell.
Let's see one more time. It does look...
This is kind of...
It does look like a Juniper, but did he play that Colress the last turn?
He did play the Colress the last... no.
Oh, it was discarded, my bad.
Yeah, discarded. He might be looking to attack with Goomy here, which does 10, and then with the Choice Band 40, so puts it at 90.
You know, what were we just talking about? Goomy deadlifting and doing squats?
Yeah, he kicked Shaman in the face, man. Got his workout in. Got the Choice Band on his head. Get his karate on. Black belt. Going in on this Shaman here. Going to hit him one more time if Ciaran does not have a way to get rid of that energy.
Although, you know, it's a really cute play to knock out the Shaman with the Goomy, but I'm actually, like, if I'm Zach, I'm feeling okay if that just stays out there indefinitely. And
Hmm.
I force Ciaran to actually do something to get out Sableye because, I mean, what happened in the last game was incredible. And if I'm Zach, I'm on cloud nine that I was able to pull that off against this matchup. But it's tough to say if he could repeat that, especially since it's not like he's going to be able to knock out the Garbodor anytime soon.
So they're discussing something right now. There hasn't been action here in a few seconds right now. They're discussing something. Hands are across the table. I'm not sure what is going on with the if the judge is involved or what might be. But after that attack there, they're discussing something with Garbotoxin.
Some sort of interaction with Garbotoxin. And of course, there's only one ability in play at this point. So that ability, I mean, being sticky membrane.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
All right.
let's see what we got.
All right, so what we're going to do real quick, we're going to take a quick second here while we investigate what's going on here. We'll be right back with you here shortly once we have an answer for you guys.
See you soon. Hey trainers, welcome back to the action here at the 2019 Pokemon Trading Card Game Regional Championship here in Hartford, Connecticut. We just had a brief pause here in the action of round 8. It seems there was an issue regarding the shuffling involved with a special charge on Ciaran's side of the board during Game 1, close to the end of Game 1. As a result, the judges have retroactively ruled the outcome of that match. While it is still obviously a win for Zach because he didn't do anything wrong, because of the error, the severe gameplay error by Ciaran, it was retroactively recorded as a loss by severe gameplay error. So as a result, that is on the books right now. So we are about to go back into the action with the game as it stands. Same time, frozen in place. These players are going to go back at it, and it looks like this Game 2 has been pretty solid and clean so far, right?
Yep, absolutely. We're going to slide back down here to Game 2. Looks like the players are already underway right now. It is going to be Ciaran's turn when we slide down here, as Gumi just did that 40 damage to the Shaman, and we are underway.
Deadlifting, squatting, bench pressing at least 9,000 pounds.
Whatever it is, the lift the Shaman up here. Junk Hunt after a hard retreat from Shaman here. Actually, no, Verse Seeker. Going to grab the Team Flare Grunt, take off that Prism energy, and then going to Junk Hunt some items back into Ciaran's hand.
That's right. And so as we saw in the action previously in this second game, Zach was able to secure a win in a reasonable amount of time. It wasn't too slow of a win, which is actually kind of a counterintuitive thing, but against a deck like Sableye where they need lots of time to win, ideally if you are winning in about 25 minutes or so, that's a secure position to be in for Game 2. Zach was able to get that first one in about 19, so time is whittling down. There's still a little bit of opportunity for Ciaran to pull a win, but Zach is clearly in the driver's seat, regardless of what this game or this board position look like.
Absolutely, there's not a lot of. I mean, outside of Trick Shovel, there's not a lot of cards to progress Zach to want to make further moves there. I think Zach at this point is only going to go after knockouts that are necessary, given the time limit left and how he'll take like single prize knockouts right now. Unless he finds a shrine there to get to that Shaman. It looks like here it is still on Ciaran's side. Trainer's Mail, look at the top 4 cards of his deck. Grab a trainer card there. Looks like he opts to grab the Hiker.
That's right, being able to look at and disrupt the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck, allowing for some pretty great nifty combos with Trick Shovel as we've seen before in this tournament.
Yep.
Unsurprisingly, with another Sableye deck all the way back in round 2.
I think the combo is fantastic there. Be able to look at top 5 cards there, select one, shuffle the other 4 back, put the one on top, and then Trick Shovel it away. All right, here's 3 Sableyes out now. Going to be looking at Junk Hunt now, grabbing a Verse Seeker, and it might be the Trick Shovel to combo with the Hiker.
That's right. We got the Dowsing Machine.
Oh, Dowsing Machine.
Although that's, I mean, it's the same thing. It's potentially the same result,
yep.
But giving Ciaran plenty of options. So if he has to change course in what he's doing, then he can go ahead and do that.
All right, here, Prism Energy coming again to the Gumi. Going to hard retreat, bring up the Hitmonchan, and going to hit and run for 30.
Yeah, and one thing I want to bring to everyone's attention is we had a brief correction on the amount of time. So it looked like there was less time than there actually is. But, you know, the clock is still dwindling down. There's less than 20 minutes left in this match, even with the time extension applied due to the ruling issue earlier. So as a result, Ciaran is still struggling to be able to get the perfect board position he needs such that he can actually pull out a full clean win.
Absolutely there. Trick Shovel right now. Look at the top card of his deck. Look like this is a choice spend there. So Ciaran's going to leave it there. Verse Seeker coming down. Going to grab a Team Flare Grunt. Takes away that energy off the Hitmonchan. That's going to be a chain here going forward. Junk Hunt's going to be bringing that Verse Seeker back. And any energy that Zach applies is going to get taken away by Team Flare Grunt.
Absolutely. And the more and more he dwindles away the energy on Zach's side, the more secured a victory might be. And then we could get into an awkward position where they're in Game 3 and they're both looking at each other. They're like, who's going to take this? And then eventually they blink twice and are like, oh, we really aren't. Because, I mean, like, with so little time left at such a hypothetical point, it would be tough to deal with. But Zach is still hoping he can claw his way to being able to secure the match win in what's an otherwise pretty tough position to be in and a tough matchup to deal with.
Ciaran has double Trick Shovel here, and he got off the Junk Hunt. Zach just passes, going back into Kieran's turn. He does have Trick Shovel here, which can expedite this mill process, but it looks like he's just going to Trick Shovel, leave the Guzma on top of his deck here. Grabbing a Team Skull Grunt to see if there's any energy in his hand, and there isn't any for Ciaran to discard.
But there's absolutely nothing in Zach's hand at all. Like, I mean, a bunch of Pokemon, but there are a bunch of Pokemon that can't attack. There are a bunch of Pokemon that don't do anything. They're just kind of twiddling their thumbs, and they're like, put me in, coach. Put me in. And then coach is just like, no, just go and get the water.
So Guzma on top there. Ciaran did not mind leaving Guzma there. He does have the Flow Stone in hand to attach to retreat anything that Zach would potentially Guzma up there. So right now, Ciaran is in full control, but depending on how this pace plays out, we can see this either ending in Ciaran's favor or in Zach's favor.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if this Guzma is too early right now, because he doesn't. If I saw his hand correctly, I didn't see any energy whatsoever. I didn't see any options. I just saw some tools and some Pokemon. So maybe he could have held off on that Guzma until the absolute most critical juncture. But even then, maybe I'm not giving Zach's line of thought here enough credit, because you know what? It's a pretty awful position to be in, because Trick Shovel is going to rig the top cards of Zach's deck, and it's going to be a lather, rinse, repeat, ad infinitum scenario where Zach is just like, okay, so either my good stuff's going to get discarded or I'm going to be left with garbage.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's going to happen here. I mean, Ciaran's able to chain 2 Trick Shovels each turn right now, and Zach's is pretty much hope that if he were to take away 2 Trick Shovels, that the third card that happens there is something that's useful for him. Now, I'm happy that Zach is still keeping a nice pace here and not trying to, do any kind of modifications to take away from anything that Ciaran's trying to pull off here.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I don't think that would even be possible given how fast Ciaran's moving with his Trick Shovel plays. But modifications, no modification. I mean, like, just looking at the natural flow of the decks as they are dealt out, just the way that they work, where if you had like a 25-30 minute game 1, then the dynamic here is completely different, where even if you have rapid passing from Zach, there's still a train of thought that Ciaran has to go through, having to manually look at the top card, decide if it's good or bad, and then discard, and that eats up a lot of the clock.
Yes. So let's say opposite get Junk Hunt, Dousing, and another Trick Shovel here, and it's just going to be a nice another pass from Zach. Back into Ciaran's turn here. Going to see Trick Shovel again. Verse Seeker, there it goes. Another Trick Shovel is going to get discarded. So Rest Stretcher, going to keep that there. Even a card is like remotely useful, as long as it doesn't inevitably promote Zach's draw state, he's going to keep it on top of his deck.
Absolutely. I mean, at this point, it's like he's basically going to be stuck with the exact same type of
he's going to let loose
for the
here
rest of the game
with the Rescue Stretcher.
That would be nice. And, I think going back to my earlier discussion about Zach's decision to Guzma up something, I think that was, in hindsight, I think that was perfectly fine, because he needed some hope, even if it was a small hope, to break the Junk Hunt lock, and he went for it, which is perfectly fine. Totally solid line of play, but, I mean, Ciaran had an answer for it.
So we're going to see the Rest Stretcher here, and it looks like he might be grabbing this Mark Shadow to let loose his hand back to his deck and see if we can get something here. And opposite just pass.
And back to shovel digging, leaving the top card just as it is, and further securing his setup right now. And I think at this point we might have a very glorified version of what several players do opt for. We talked about this at the very beginning of the match, the decision to play and win for more points versus the decision to intentionally draw to just get yourself into day 2. I think we might be seeing something like the latter, but forced, because there's no way I see Ciaran losing this game, but there's no way I see a Game 3 finishing either.
He does it like the reverse hiker to what we saw from the Zablite deck earlier. 2 Trick Shovels to get rid of the top 2 cards, and instead of giving Zach hope on that third card, plays hiker to put a bad card out of the 5 guaranteed on top of his deck. So this lock is sealed.
Yes, there's virtually no doubt in my mind. I mean, the only thing that would possibly wreck it is a gameplay error, and we've got just a couple fun little plays here, a retreat and a switch. I think that's just Zach being a little cheeky here, keeping up the spirit of the game even though he's locked out of it.
Dice Machine right now, getting rid of Articuno, and looks like a Trubbish. And Rescue Stretcher going to bring back a couple Pokemon. Trubbish, Girafarig, and the Trubbish he got rid of off the Dice Machine.
That's right, so he's got plenty of resources. He has a perfect lock on what Zach has.
Well, he doesn't have a lot of cards in his deck right now, so I guess right now the idea is to Trick Shovel and also Wrist Stretcher.
Correct, but I think he's so far ahead in what he's doing that that is no longer an issue.
Mm-hmm. At the same time, too, even if it does get to a point to where deck size is getting low there, he gets to play N.
Yeah, and Zach's still sitting on a Rescue Stretcher, and he's doing what you were talking about earlier. He gets that Marsh Shadow up to the top of his discard pile. He's eyeing possibly Rescue Stretching it, getting that lock going again. So, right on. But, I mean, that's the thing, though, is that he needs some way to discard Garbotoxin.
Yeah.
To discard the Floatstone on Garbo.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
But I think he's in just the same position regardless of whether or not he Rescue Stretchers, because Ciaran can just keep on Trick Shoveling.
Yep. Or Corio retreats to the Hitmonlee, passes. And here we go, Trick Shovel, begin the process. And he looks like he's deciding he wants to keep the card or not. There is the Shrine of Punishment. And it looks like the special charge. And there he goes, Hiker. Wow. Yep. I think very well with the 11 minutes on the clock there. I think you're right there. I think Ciaran's going to be able to whittle away the whole deck before time runs out.
And both of these players are from the same area. They're pretty friendly with each other. I'm almost curious to see if they go to a game 3, they set up, and once they confirm that both of them don't have dead hands, they just do the intentional draw at that point.
Yep.
Because even in what was pretty much an ideal scenario for Zach in the last game, which was keeping Garbotoxin off the board, being able to get that Diancie, being able to deal big damage on just about everything, and the Shrine pings away.
Yep.
Even with all that, it took Zach about 19 minutes to pull off the win.
Absolutely there. And then here comes the new chain. Dice Machine, Rescue Stretcher, going to bring back some more Pokemon to make sure he doesn't mill himself out.
Yeah, and another interesting time dynamic about this match right here is that Zach is up a game. So because he's up a game and he effectively knows what the outcome would be if he loses this, he has absolutely no reason or incentive or requirement to scoop. He has the absolute right to play this game out, even if it's virtually hopeless is what we're seeing right now.
Yep.
And that's his absolute right, and because it's his absolute right, that's slowly but surely whittling away the clock in a totally legitimate, fair manner.
He only has 4 cards left in deck right now. Looks like he's going to put that Adventure back on top of his deck right now. And, yeah, let's see what happens here. Versus Seeker. Had the Hiker here. Going to bring back here. Probably some Trick Shovels in the Verseeker. Yep, he's down to just 1 Trick Shovel, 1 Verseeker just to keep that chain for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and Zach's not exactly going to explode with a whole bunch of garbage in his hand and just a few things left. So the Adventure Bag actually being able to shuffle up. There's a couple good cards in there, but none of them are energy, so there's nothing that Zach can do.
Yeah, I think he's just, just playing it as he is on stream right now. Doesn't want to just walk away there. He wants to maybe hope that time does get called out before he's able to do anything right there.
Oh, I think it's a little more than just hope. I think it's virtually guaranteed unless Ciaran dead draws, which is kind of what Zach might be hoping for to get a winning game 3.
Yeah. And then Trick Shovel and Dice Machine coming this time instead of Verseeker.
And here's the incredible thing is it's been about half a dozen turns, maybe even more, maybe a dozen or so since I think everybody at home watching, since we figured out that this was a complete and utter absolute lock, like a complete shutout of a game, and yet this is how slow Sableye moves as a deck because it took that little time to pull off.
Yeah, I mean, once Sableye got the lock in there was nothing to do on Zach's side. He just had to accept the punishment, accept the shovels, accept the hiker chain, and he had to just take that, unfortunately, there. With only 8 minutes left on the clock, unless there's something like game one here, it's probably going to end in a tie.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Although, I mean, we saw a little bit of this flash in the first game, but the potential for Ciaran to have a dead draw. And it's tough to say. I'm not in Zach's head because that Oricorio play at the beginning of game one, still raving about it, still fantastic, but it had the added advantage of threatening a turn 2 knockout on a no-bench situation where the only thing in play is Trubbish. So what we could see from Zach is with the clock dwindling down the way that it is, he could get a Mars Shadow pulled off with that let loose after setting up everything else, threatening a knockout, and then possibly being able to win that way.
Yep, that's definitely out there. I mean, if anyone wants to take this game 3, it's going to be Zach. Ciaran doesn't have enough time to take the game there unless there's no way. There's no way at all that Ciaran can, unless for some reason there's nothing at all because Ciaran doesn't take any prizes. So regardless, it's going to have to.
I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to energy drive?
He does have a Trash Lance Garbodor, but I mean Zach just cannot play items there. So regardless, it's in Zach's court to try to finish the game, take the last shot there. If he misses, it is what it is. There depends how good of a defense Ciaran puts up.
Confuse Ray 11 times in a row against a Wobbuffet.
Yeah. You know what? We've seen some crazy things here from Tri-Edge.
Yeah.
You know, so
we have seen some crazy stuff.
You just never know here with the Pokemon TCG right now, but we'll see how this game 3 goes. We're going back down to the action, and it looks like it is not a Sableye start for Ciaran.
That's right, not a Sableye start, but it looks, it's a Giraffe Rig Psychic Week, so.
Yep, and there it is.
I would be shocked and amazed and beyond ecstatic if we saw, and it looks like they're
tying.
Looks like you're just tying, yeah.
I think they both kind of looked at it and said, do you have a dead hand? No. Pretty much kind of what you said. Do you have a dead hand? No. Do you have a dead hand? No. Yeah. All right, let's go.
See, I hate to say it because I was the one who was saying that earlier, but I almost feel like that was a little premature, like an itty-bitty premature to do the tie because I would love to see just, all the disruption if I can pull it. I didn't get a good peek at Zach's hand, so maybe he didn't have a lot, but I guess theoretically he could have pulled off all of the disruption stuff, threatening a knockout on the Giraffe Rig, and then at that point, the next turn, Ciaran's like, you know what, I got what I need, I'm good. Let's just go ahead and tie, and at that point, you go ahead and sign the slip. But looks like, all things considered, very interesting match, very interesting first game for sure. Zach being able to pull what might be considered an upset, and then game 2, Sable Garb doing exactly what Sable Garb does, which is that awful, oppressive trick shovel lock. So looks like with that draw, we will not be having an interview, but we will be seeing y'all soon very shortly.